Welcome back to 101 East, this week from China's capital, Beijing, and we're at Hohai District, which is a popular local beauty spot and tourist area, and as such, it benefits from strict environmental and political protection. But not all beauty spots around China are so lucky. Lake Taihu in Jiangsu province was once renowned for its beauty. Not anymore.
Taihu, China's third largest lake and the source of drinking water for millions of residents. It is also very toxic due partly to excessive pollution caused by discharge from chemical factories nearby. 41-year-old Xi Jiehua has lived here all her life.
All the polluted rivers by the factories are like arteries leading to Taihu. Fishermen used to have plenty of catch here, but no more. Local farmers also use water from these rivers to irrigate the fields and water vegetables. It is bad for us.
A pungent stench from the lake fills the air. These boats have been scooping the algae every day for the past few months. The algae feeds on chemical nutrients from waste. For years, Xi Jiehua's husband Wu Lihong tried to protect the lake.
He was passionate about environmental protection. He actively exposed acts of environmental damage, but it affected our family. Our windows have been smashed. People working for chemical factories beat him up. We would get phone calls from thugs threatening to break his leg. It has been very hard for us.
For his efforts, China's central government declared him one of the country's top 10 environmentalists in 2005. But last year, local authorities arrested Wu Lihong and sentenced him to 3 years jail. Prosecutors found him guilty of blackmailing companies by threatening to expose how they were polluting the environment. But Xi Jiehua believes her husband is paying the price for revealing local pollution problems to higher authorities.
The police here summoned him twice in the days leading up to his arrest. He said they told him not to reveal the extent of the pollution problems. That night, dozens of them came. They broke in and arrested Wu Lihong. They confiscated his computer, his camera, photos he took of pollution sites, and our bank card.
Beijing has since said it will commit $14 billion to clean up Taihu, and state media reported that regulators shut down a third of the 2,800 chemical factories there. Meanwhile, Wu Lihong is still in jail.
When I visited him, he said he had no regrets. His conscience is clear.
Welcome back to 101 East. This week we're in Beijing discussing China's development and future role in the global political and economic scene. The presence of China on the global stage is one thing that is being discussed from many different angles. China in itself has often been a fairly inward-looking country, but it can't really avoid its position in the world now. What will that position be? Once the Olympics is over, once the economic system has perfected itself, if you like, what will its role be?
The dominant opinion within China is that we consider China is a regional power. And
not a global one.
Not a global power, and still at a critical stage of development. So we define ourselves as a big developing country with influence mainly in our region, that is East Asia. And as you mentioned, China now is an inward-looking country, right? The reason is very simple. The main challenge for China today are coming from within. Let's say the income gap, regional disparity, the gap between rural and urban area, the widespread corruption, the lack of vacuum of morality, right, the value system. So a lot of challenges come out from within China. So it's very funny. The outside world always feel threatened by China, right? And people, I should say, we have no capability. Not only to mention the intention, we have no intention at all, but we no capability to do anything. significant in outside world.
We'll come back to that external conception in a moment. Let's think internally then for a second. Within the context of what the professor has just said,
Yes.
what is the biggest internal challenge to the Chinese government right now?
Just as Professor Jing said, the income gap. I think basically everybody is getting richer, but the income gap is getting wider, which you know, which is why the government is talking about harmonious society. The society is not so harmonious, and I think especially in the countryside, there's still from our times. I travel a lot within the countryside. I see lots of discontentment, which we have witnessed quite a lot of mass protests.
This has been a common criticism, not only from Amnesty International's recent report, but from many journalists that I have spoken to, is exactly that. The idea that China was going to let the journalists in and show what's going on has not really been fulfilled.
Yes, absolutely. Because I'm researching on the current issues and also the journalism coverage of the crisis, including the bombing, including the train crash, including the earthquake. And many of the international journalist colleagues, they already made their comments. They were saying the earthquake coverage has been so great because nothing is hidden and nothing is prohibited not to be presented to the Chinese audiences at all.
The coverage of the earthquake was a unique event, and as you say, the Chinese government was praised for allowing the journalists in, but you're talking about more specific situations, right, that pertain to the government and not to natural disasters.
Yes, I agree. We saw tremendous progress in media freedom, but in my view, it's not enough. We want every event, you know, we want all the openness, the same openness.
But actually, this year
earthquake.
It is the case.
But again,
every
there was
event.
coming a point when people began to, there was coming to a point when parents complain and challenge about the brink project, how the wide school collapsed, the corruption, and there was a lot also cover up.
But I mean, every single crisis, if we say it is a crisis in China, during the last 6 months, you can always see international journalists there, so including those.
International journalists were banned from Tibet.
No, I don't think so. I accompanied one of the delegation of international journalists came to Tibet.
I mean, there was a stage-managed trip for international journalists, but during the main height of the crisis in Tibet, the place was closed off. You can't deny that, surely.
But actually, it's not only closed for the journalists, because it's a policy during that period. We want to make sure that everything is not harming any innocent people.
Is the future for China going to involve a democratic model?
Democracy means public participation. So the difference referring to this side, how to reach that goal. You can talk, that's easy, you know. Lip service, that's always very easy job. And you can earn money and applause by lip service. But the real challenge is how to do it. China is so big.
Well, the real challenge is to commit to the idea that it's a valuable goal. Do you think Beijing has committed to the idea that public participation in the decision-making process is a valuable goal?
Definitely. Yeah.
Do you agree?
This value.
Yeah, I totally
But do
agree.
you agree with the idea that China doesn't want to be an international player?
I think China wants to be an international player, but not necessarily to mean we are a big enemy or a big threat to any of the countries in the world.
So China's international role for you would be what?
I think China should play a bigger role, and China is able to play a bigger role. But I think China must be careful about its image. It's rising so fast. I come back from my book tour in America. Everywhere people ask me, do Americans stand a chance? As if China can take over the world. China, there's such a fear about China. I think I do understand where does such a fear come from. Such a big country, huge population, growing so fast, and undemocratic.
Right.
But some of the fear is generated by ignorance. That's why I think China needs to understand. China and the world need to understand each other, and that China must be careful and listen careful to the world opinion.
A very final, quick word from you, Stephen.
I would say mutual trust is very important, and mutual trust is built on the dual carriageway message communications. And Olympic is a great opportunity. And we don't have anything negative about China. So negative and positive, everybody can watch it.
Okay.
And then people can get a conclusion about China.
That's great. Thank you all very much indeed.
Thank you.
That's all we have time for on this 101 East. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.